I think an integral part of why we get along post lessons is there's so many concepts in jiu-jitsu that traditionalists like to not speak about because it's like the cloak and dagger, right?
For sure, yeah.
But first thing I wanted you to share to the viewers is the difficulties of running your own gym and then now being in part of another gym. So you had your own gym, and then if you could talk about how you decided to open up your own gym.
Yeah, I mean, I'd been training a long time, probably about, trying to think about it, probably nearly about 10 years. I was still a purple belt though, but spent a long time, I was like 5 years of purple belt. And then when I opened it, I got my brown belt somewhere in there. But it was just all I did anyway, right? Like, I trained all the time, regardless. I had moved places because of jiu-jitsu. Like wherever I lived was solely because of jiu-jitsu, right? Like I wanted to live close to the gym, so I did that. I ended relationships because they weren't conducive to me training jiu-jitsu, right? There's so much sacrifice that went into it, and that's all I did all the time anyway. So I wanted to, why not just like make that my living, open up my own gym, teach jiu-jitsu. That's what I was doing at the time anyway, so might as well do it for myself, right? So I did that, and it was eye-opening. It was a big experience, a huge jump, career-wise and learning-wise, but it was great, but there was also like a lot of unforeseen stuff that went into it too that was really hard as well.
Right. If you are comfortable talking about it, you had some financial help with someone you were with?
Yes. I had, the reason that I got into jiu-jitsu is because I had a horrible motorcycle accident when I was in my early 20s. I didn't have any...
Break your body, training something that breaks your body.
Basically. So I had to have like an emergency surgery. I didn't have health insurance at the time. And so I just had like a $80,000 bill. It was like 23 or 22 or something like that. And lawyers just like, you're never gonna make an extra 80 grand, like just burning a hole in your pocket. So just file bankruptcy, 10 years it'll be off your record, good to go, right? So I did that. So I had horrible credit when I went to open my gym. The person that I was with, my partner at the time, she, we had a kid together and everything, like been with her for a long time. She was the guarantor for that lease because they wouldn't accept my credit because the credit was terrible. I had a bankruptcy on my credit. It actually came off while I owned the gym, but it didn't matter. They knew that it was on there. So so she helped me out. She put her name down as a guarantor, and then they allowed me to have the gym, so I was able to open up the gym, and it worked out pretty great while it was open. Yes. So I didn't know if did you want me to talk about why?
What I wanted to find out is if you're open to being specific as to why
totally.
The gym collapsed due to the guarantorship relationship.
Yes. So I was running the gym, had a new child. Things were difficult, but good. But the relationship was shaky, right? Ended up not working out, right? And I didn't realize that the person that I was with was basically a narcissist and had a whole separate personality that I had no idea about. Very vindictive, and made a lot of money too. So then we broke up. I moved out. Then she saw that I was dating someone in the community, in the jiu-jitsu community that was somewhat...
Did she practice also?
Also, yes.
Okay.
But my ex did not practice.
Okay.
But this person that I was dating did, right? I actually met her through jiu-jitsu, the new person that I was dating. And my ex saw this and saw that I was with somebody else. I didn't even announce it or anything. It was just they were doing something, it was on social media, and I was they were tagged in my thing, right?
The
And so
mighty
she
tag.
just put 2 and 2 together and called up the leasing company that night, took her name as a guarantor off, and then the leasing company called me the next day like, hey, we need another guarantor. Like, well, okay, we'll use my credit because my credit is good now. And they said, well, we know you have a bankruptcy on your credit previously, so we won't accept that anymore. So I called up my ex. I was like, hey, you know, you took your name off the lease. She's like, yeah, I know. Like, well, they're going to close my gym if I can't get another guarantor. She's like, that's not my problem. Like, well, we have a kid together. You know, if what's bad for me is bad for our child too.
Right.
She's like, we'll be just fine. Those were her exact words.
Meaning she and the child
Yes,
will be
they'll
just
be
fine.
just fine. Yeah.
Exclusively.
And go fuck yourself, basically, right? So,
Right.
so that closed my gym. So that was the end of that. And then I was pretty upset about the whole thing. Didn't have, I had moved into the gym at the time because it was still a fairly new gym. It was, you know, still hobbling along financially. I was building it up. But I'd moved into the gym. So I was living at the gym and it was my income. And so now all of a sudden I didn't have a home or income. So things spiraled out of control very quickly. And then from there I ended up having a bit of a freak out, and I moved to Japan for about a year, like right after that. So.
Which we've had that long form conversation on another podcast.
Yes.
But more importantly, what was more painful, the fiscal, meaning the monetary emergency, or the relationship earthquake? I mean, or were they so intertwined?
I mean, I was just so shocked that somebody would, like, I mean, that's extremely petty. Like, you know, like I was just shocked that somebody would do that to the detriment of their own child.
Sure.
Right, even though it was my child as well. That it was just, and that's when I started to realize, like, oh, like it was probably the best that I got the heck out of that relationship, because I didn't really know this person. Like, I didn't think that this person in a million years would be capable of something that sinister, right? To be that vindictive over something that was between us, and they would let it affect their child like that. So, so I mean, I guess I dodged a bullet in a way by getting out when I did, but also less than ideal situation altogether, and it was pretty heartbreaking. Still is.
Sure.
But you know, life can be that way sometimes.
And that reset button in Japan did help. Or was it like an extension of the learning process?
It was an extension of the, I mean, that's pretty crazy. Like I ended up moving to Japan. You know, hardly anyone that I knew there spoke English, including the person that I ended up living with. And that was that was really interesting, right? I don't know. I felt like there was nothing here for me anymore. You know.
You mean here in the U.S.?
Here in the U.S., right? I still had a child, but at that time I was essentially homeless and no income, and the family lawyers that I saw told me, like, oh, well, your ex makes way too much money. She has the best lawyers. Pretty much, you could try to fight for custody of your child, but we're looking at, like, maybe you could get somewhere near the vicinity of 50-50 custody in about 10 years if you have a place near them, which is a nice area, Valley Village, and you had a room for yourself and a room for your child. So I'd need to be able to afford like at least a 2-bedroom or something like that. Coming from nothing with no other skills, like I've just been training jiu-jitsu for nearly 16 years or whatever, and I just lost my gym. So I didn't really know how I was going to do any of this stuff, and to put all of that together, and then to be able to slowly fight back for maybe near 50-50 custody over the course of 10 years. Like, I mean, my kid would be about driving age at that point, so I'd have barely made an impact on his earlier life at all, and probably would still have a hard time being in his life as he got older. It just felt like, well, you're basically not going to be able to see your kid anymore. So when I heard that, that's when I was like, well, I have a much better outlook on things in Japan when I was there for commentating for jiu-jitsu, so maybe I should just take this as a hint and try that out, because things were just quickly going downhill for me here.